they get taken. So low flash away, easy to hold. At wala na si Arce.
A bit too low and kill rate. That would be a start.
No time to talk. This is the final one, and I'm just saying I'm not playing. Take a walk. No time to talk. You've got a long way ahead. You better hear what I say and take a walk.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we head into Game 2 for the semifinals between, of course, once again, this is Far Eastern University versus Polytechnic University of the Philippines for the Garena LOL Collegiate League 2017 Summer Term, powered by Lenovo. Challenge what you know. But of course, we get into the nitty-gritty. Papayal mo kami naging casters nyo ngayong game na to. Arctic at the service with Chisto. Not with Chisto.
Yeah, so trying to bounce back to that Game 1 loss to PUP, I feel like they kind of misplayed their draft. They had the Trundle split push option with Rory being super ahead, but they opted for team fights, which is really not how you should play a split push comp, and it gave PUP the ability to come out on top.
Indeed. So, di na namin kayo pag-aantayin, guys. Rekta na tayo dito sa drafting phase for PUP versus FEU. So, it's pretty much match point right now because this is the best of 3. Hindi natin kung makakabawi pa ba si FEU, or is this gonna be the 2-0, which personally I wasn't expecting considering the rankings right now. Just to give you guys some insight, ang matchups kasi natin ngayon is turn ng group stage. Yung first place na kayong fourth place, tapos yung second and third yung maglaban. So it's interesting to see that the first place right now, first seed actually, now FEU is actually faltering against Polytechnic University of the Philippines na fourth seed, which almost didn't make it.
Yeah, but even though PUP is the last seed, during the round robin stage, PUP won versus FEU. Versus DLSU, and DLSU is the only team to take down FEU. So that's kind of in transitive sense saying PUP is better than FEU, but right now I think these are the same bans from last game, and PUP immediately jumping onto that Sejuani, which will provide them with a lot of engaged options with the Glacial Prison, and of course having so much CC. But let's mention that we are on patch 7.21. Ardent Sensor isn't the best rush for supports, and with Sightstone not being the first item still among these teams, that gives the junglers a lot of options to play around the bot lane, and they really have to prioritize their vision control in the early Cracker's Knife.
Would you say that, as you mentioned, would you say that medyo hangover ba to sa mga supports having been prioritizing Ardent Sensor kaya hindi sila nag-build ng Sightstone agad? Or is it more of because of with the fall of Ardent Sensor, they're leaning towards other items before going for that Sightstone?
Yeah, I mean, with Worlds going on, these players want to do what the pros are doing because that's what the best options are. And I think with Ardent Sensor being so popular, some teams really don't look through the patch notes, and they don't understand as well how the nerfs and buffs work to that item. But I think with the changes to Ardent Sensor, it isn't the optimal first item. It can be for some situations, but I think supports now should opt for Sightstone earlier so that they can relieve a lot of that gank pressure.
I agree.
So pretty standard picks here, but interesting to see Ornn from PUP. I'm a big fan of this champion. I actually play him a lot, and I think he really provides a lot for that team fight. A good follow-up to the initial engage from Sejuani. Call of the Forge God is a great engage. It has a lot of range, and the Brittle passive just extends the stuns and CC coming from Polytechnic University of the Philippines. As for Far Eastern University, they've opted for more scaling comp, and they have safety in top lane and jungle. They have the Stand United and the Explosive Cast to disengage possible fights. And Kog'Maw and Nivea is going to scale into the late game, and they're going to do so much work in team fights. As for PUP, they do have the proactiveness in the early game. They have Ari to look for these picks. They have Karma for the speed ups to look for the engage. So it'll be how.
And what I'm really interested in seeing dito sa FEU, like you mentioned, with these champions like the Nivea, like the Kog'Maw, ideally we're gonna see them really skyrocket into the late game. Pero gaya nga nang nakita natin ng game 1, as you mentioned, nagkaroon ng issues yung FEU in terms of playing their composition correctly. So I'm wondering if they'll have that I wouldn't say knowledge of playing their composition correctly, pero to an extent, even yung restraint na trying not to push the boundaries even though they're ahead. Because I feel like that's what happened. They were quite ahead early game. And then it just kind of toward game because they were trying to force things that were adapt to a composition. Right now, ladies and gents, we're going to be 2. What is be game 2 once again? Match point. Will Polytechnic University of the Philippines proceed to the finals 2-0? Or will FEU force this into a game 3? Tignan natin.
I believe Polytechnic University of the Philippines spotted this invade coming from FEU. Kind of a half-hearted invade. I don't think they have any real level 1 CC to take down any member from PUP. So it's going to be a sort of passive early game.
So let's go ahead and see. I mean, that is what FEU kind of did earlier. So I feel like PUP was much more alert after what did happen wherein Beast lost out on his flash as a result of that invade from FEU. So mas prepared sila ngayon. They kind of anticipated that now. So we'll just have to see how that works. Now, looks like both sides will be starting out pretty much standard.
Now, what's important for PUP's draft here is there's going to be a point in this game where FEU is still going to be scaling. Of course, Kog'Maw needs 2 to 3 items to absolutely pop off during these fights. Anivia needs a larger mana pool, going to be stacking that possible tier of the goddess. So during that point where FEU is at their low, PUP has to pull the trigger on these engages, use the Sejuani ultimate, use the Call of the Forge God to catch out the members of FEU while they're at their low points, and they need to dictate the game from winning those they do take.
Indeed. And we'll just have to see because earlier, PUP, we did see a little bit of a struggle from nung early game nitong previous game 1. So it could show that assertiveness that they need to pull this off. Especially they have that Ornn, they have the Sejuani, all these elements that could really push them to pull the trigger as opposed to FEU bringing the attention themselves to PUP. So we'll just have to see.
For PUP though, knowing that they can engage, they also have to respect the stand united coming from McCrory. Of course, McCrory, a very competent Shen player. He knows how to play majority of Shen matchups, but in a matchup versus Ornn, I think in the early game, Ornn can push around the Shen with the Bellows Breath, dealing percent health max damage. It's going to help him shred tank. So for the early game, I really favor PUP's comp. And once they do go online and they hit their early game power spikes, they really need to pull the trigger versus Far Eastern University.
And overall, looking at things, for topside McCrory, a little bit on the lower spectrum of health right now. So just has to take it a little bit more easier. And that's the interesting thing, really. Kido, though, getting a little bit of harass there from both Beast and Engine, really bringing the pain down to less than half his health there. But yeah, going back to the top side here, I'm actually interested in seeing how this will go. Kasi nung game 1, nakita nga natin very dominant si McCrory. He was really able to pop off on the trundle, even though they lost, of course. But with this type of early game deficiency, wherein Felix definitely has that upper end against McCrory on the Shen, I'm interested in seeing if this will ultimately affect how Rory plays. But then again, we did bring up how you have worked with McCrory before, and in LCL, sure, we will see him pull off carry champions, pero in Piltover's Finest, I don't think we really see as much of that from Rory. So
yeah, for McCrory, I think his role in the team now is just act as a tank, and with all his experience, he's acting as a leader, sort of, and they're putting their carry cards onto Kido and Bri. They're relying on this late game, and Rory being a tool to help that, but right now he's being pushed around by this Ornn pick.
And I'm kind of worried. There's definitely, I gotta admire the trust that they have in terms of that. But then again, if you're gonna look at the performance of both Bri and Kido, not exactly their best earlier, especially as people you want to expect. It looks like we're having a little bit of a gank from Powder here. Beast forced to flash away, leaving Enju gonna try to net his way out of there. And looks like they will survive. So all is safe and sound for PUP's bot lane.
Yeah, for the bot lane matchup here, Caitlyn and Karma have so much more pushing potential than Kog'Maw. They will shove that lane early, and Powder visiting bot relieves some of that pressure. So good gank by Powder. I do believe that Levi is gonna just counter jungle. Seeing Powder go bot lane, he instantly paths towards the top lane and gets an extra cramp to further propel him into that level 6 power spike. And once he does hit level 6, I wouldn't be surprised for him to potentially look for a gank mid lane and get Marian ahead, or go bot lane and put the winning matchup of Enju and Beast even further forward.
So there you have it, folks. Things, Levi kind of lingering there towards the top side, looking for an opportunity onto McCrory, but still, Felix will be retreating. Is very, very low on mana, so even though they try to push something, I don't think they really get a kill out of that. But nonetheless, that is great. But Rory did have to go back and teleport down though, only coming back with a long sword as well as that item that gives him a little bit of health regeneration, but nothing particularly substantial, I'd say.
Yeah, Rory building towards that Tiamat. He wants to be able to match the wave clear coming from Ornn. Of course, Ornn uses 2 abilities and the wave is already clear. He's just going to Q and use Bellows Breath and the wave's just gone. As for Rory, without the Tiamat yet and possibly Titanic Hydra, he doesn't have the same tools for wave clear to actually shove the wave, and it's key for Felix to constantly push Rory in. Because with the lane pushing towards McCrory, if McCrory opts to use Stand United to defend one of the dives in his bot lane, he's gonna lose so many minions to his tower and possibly the tower as well if Ornn has the minion wave in a proper position.
Good timing there to avoid that potential stun. But with things that I gotta hand it to McCrory. I was actually expecting that he might be struggling in terms of CS, but looks like he's doing just fine so far against Felix. So I don't think we don't really have to see as much of a presence from Powder towards top side for now. And looks like Powder, though, good offensive warding there coming in from PP, will get spotted out.
Yeah, the vision control from both of these teams showing the experience they have in this semi-pro scene. Their vision control is kind of a tier above the others, watching from just how they play.
Indeed. Powder will take this opportunity to take out that control ward. Lights out on the Riverside for PUP's bot. And overall, Rory, of course, a nice wave pushing onto him. And interesting still, with this wave pushing in, really grant him the upper hand in terms of CS differential, a wave up actually, after he farms that up.
I do believe Polytechnic University of the Philippines is just waiting for Levi to hit that level 6 power spike in order for him to actually look for a gank. But Marian getting chunked.
Let's be a bit careful. He's on the lower spectrum. But still, Bry waiting to regenerate a bit of that mana through that blue buff now under his belt. Levi, though, is he going to try to push on? No, actually just going to deny a little bit of that camp from Powder.
Yeah, and what allows Levi to invade here is his mid lane and bot lane are pushing. So if FEU decides to collapse on him, the members of PUP are all in a position to either push the towers or help him in his invade. And if FEU does collapse on him, they will lose CS to the tower.
So there we have it. Wave, definitely very safe and sound, I'd say. We're not really seeing any flashy plays, but as you did mention, for PUP's case, they're just waiting for that Glacial Prison to come up for Levi so that he could really start making plays across these lanes here, along with Powder to an extent. What could you say about because I was actually expecting a little bit more proactivity from Powder, just being a Gragas S, but so far from what we were seeing here, not really as much present or as at ganks, probably just one earlier, but other than that first 10 minutes, not that much.
I think Powder opted to play more a farm style because his lanes tend to play passive given that they're the more scaling comp. There will be no early aggression from the lanes of FEU, and he's just sort of waiting for Levi and waiting for him to make a move somewhere so he can then counter it. Now that Levi is level 6, he has that Glacial Person available. I wouldn't be surprised to see a gank towards the mid lane to propel Marian forward.
So there, man, with all things, looks like they're going to be passing on that blue buff to Marian. Will grant him a little bit more of a hokey pokey against Bry. Bry actually had that blue buff a few minutes earlier, going down any second now. So that's something else to look for. Rory, a little bit of trade-off here happening between Rory. Rory, though, very low. Gonna try to dodge out on that ultimate. Has to be careful. Gets that taunt on. I'm not sure that was the best move. Gonna be flashed in, and that will be first blood going under the belt of PUP.
That's the power of Ornn, able to shred the tank stats of McCrory with the Bellows Breath. Of course, percent health, max damage, and just great show of Ornn mechanics by Felix, showing that he knows how to play the newest champion in League.
Whew.
Great solo kill.
I don't know. That was really awkward from McCrory trying to push it. Do you feel there would have been any initiate coming through the kill? Or?
I believe he wanted to go for it, but really not respecting Ornn's damage.
Right.
I mean, he's fairly new champ. Show of respect there. Engage in bot lane.
Indeed. Marian, though, won't be able to proceed further. Ulti coming in from Rory, standing by the top in onto Beast Sports Flashway once again. I think he'll be able to survive. This goes down. Keto getting the kill. Powder gets the body slam in. Has to be careful, though. But looks like no further pursuit. That would be a small victory for FEU.
Yeah, and that's what PUP has to risk this bot lane if PUP decide to engage there. And because McCrory didn't burn his flash when he got solo kill top, he has his flash taunt available to catch Beast down in the bot lane with more aggression.
Indeed, Keto getting that kill. Teleport coming in. Will Felix be able to... Sounds like he's going to go for the defense, but for the meantime, you have to note Levi is pushing up towards top. That turret low than half health, but I don't think Levi will be able to push that out in time. 3 members of FEU converging onto Felix. That's a very tanky Ornn though, and they will have to just resist the urge to try to take him down and back away for now.
Yeah, I think Enju kind of disrespecting the ability of FEU to dive him back there. Of course, the body slam flash from Gragas, such a potent combo to use. There will be a lot of chip damage onto the top tower of FEU because they decided to send so many members bot. Levi able to chunk the tower, but I think he'll get killed here.
Ooh, almost. Will that flash and work? Ooh, he actually does get the kill. Will be able to escape himself with a slither of health. So, good job. I think lost ground earlier.
I think Levi have enough mana to use his way to potentially escape there. And of course, nice fancy feat, Thunderlord's procs. And Bri picks up the kill onto Sejuani. It's really interesting because with Levi being Sejuani and he needs to propel his team forward in the early game, we haven't seen that many ganks, especially since now he's level 7. He has Glacial Prison. He needs to make a move in order to put Polytechnic University of the Philippines ahead, but really haven't seen that from him. FEU being the more proactive team, even though they want to be the ones that are scaling and more passive.
That actually puts a question on my mind because as I've been discussing with Vulcan during Game 1, isa sa gusto ko kay Levi is when he's on the carry role, he's actually quite reliable. We have seen a lot of games from wherein he's been on champions like the Kazakhs, like the Graves, na talagang tumutodo yung pagbuhat niya sa PUP, like having absolutely insane KDAs. Pero when it comes to these roles, when he's on more tankier champions, when he has to be a little bit more proactive to propel the rest of PUP, yun yung medyo naging questionable eh. I actually remember one game, because I've been talking about how Levi's a hitter so far with PUP. Yung hits when he's really scary champion. There's been, I remember this particular game where not even a single Glacial Prison hitting properly. So that's something that's a question on my mind right now as to how Levi will fare in this game to honest Sejuani, wherein this may potentially be a miss for him.
Yeah, and of course, adaptability, one of the key factors if you want to win in League of Legends. Need to be versatile, but that lane.
Indeed, Levi might hurt a bit, but still, I think Ornn is within the vicinity. Go in, gets the kill onto McRory. Levi actually securing it. Looks like Power to be the next carrot. Down it goes. First third of the game to PUP.
Yeah, and that's the proactivity we want to see from Levi. We want to see him go for these aggressive plays in the early game when FEU is at their weak point. And back to what I was saying earlier, adaptability and versatility is an important key if you want to be a great League of Legends player. And for Levi, I think he's sort of still adjusting because some players are just more used to carry roles, but Stand United in the bot lane.
Indeed, double taunt onto 2 members of PUP. Looks like Enju will be the next casualty here. Kido actually misses. McRory might need to take that kill for the security of the kill. Looks like Enju trying to run it out though, running forward.
He's delaying the inevitable.
Chase me if you can. Looks like he will give himself to the turret instead. 1, 2. Executed. Good timing.
Great execute. They're able to run away and escape from the members of FEU, not really giving up a kill. And aggression in the lane though. As for PUP, they aren't really respecting the Stand United from McRory, and I think they need to start timing that ability and time their engages to that, or at least bring more people to show that aggression, because Caitlyn Karma isn't gonna have a lot of kill pressure onto a Kog'Maw Lulu, especially with the Stand United being up. There's so much safety in that bot lane.
Man, oh man, 3 and 4 right now. Still very much even between both sides, but then again, with PUP's condition right now, it's almost like a time bomb that's ticking for PUP.
It's a storm that's brewing from FEU.
Exactly, and it's very apt now that storm, especially with Anivia on FEU's side. If this game keeps on going longer and longer and longer, and if this statistic just may even, then FEU just really have a ball going into the game.
Yeah, PUP, even though they're ahead in gold, this is the situation FEU wants to be in this early game because Levi didn't show a lot of aggression during that early game. And the longer this game goes, of course, they will get outscaled. FEU's compo has a lot of late game tankiness and damage compared to the members of PUP, which will be a bit weaker during these 5-on-5 fights. If it do more AoE and the Ahri, it'll be up to Marlon to place these team fights in the late game, whether or not he can catch a squish target in Wix, Kiddo, or Bri.
There you go. Bot side, maybe defending a bit. That turret is quite low actually, now that I take a peek at it. And overall, I'm really interested in seeing just how much both Levi and Powder could try to dictate the flow through their rotations now. Because both sides, I mean, we're already at the 15-minute mark. They have their ultimates. There's just so much chaos that could happen with these two champions, both the Sejuani and the Gragas. So we'll just have to see. I mean,
Yeah, during this window where Stand United is down, PUP has to make a proactive play bot and shut down Kiddo because at this point, 16 minutes in the game, Kiddo already has his Ginsu's Rage Blade and his 3 kills up versus the member of PUP. Call of the Forge God misses.
Oh, misses out. Right, gonna be flashing away though. Glacial Version does connect 3 members of PUP. Are gonna converge onto. I think that pass is still up for him. Activia, up he goes. Taunt onto Levi. Goes down. McCrory getting the kill. Looks like FEU Redemption is right there. Tricky elements PUP has to be what I gotta say. Activia, Stand United. A lot of computations that could go aloof.
Yeah, PUP going in a bit too deep in there, and with Call of the Forge God missing, they should have just opted to disengage because Anivia still has passive up. Why are you going to continue to dive with Rory having teleport and the members of FEU collapsing instantly mid lane? That was just a botched engage and they should have backed off from them. These misplays are costing the early game for FEU and both is not even.
3 and 5 now. Looks like another potential play. Teleport is coming in from Felix though. Looks like, oh, that's actually Marion, my bad. But still, Charm going to connect there onto Powder, taking a little bit there. Still, at least more than half health intact for him, so all is well for the jungler of FEU.
Yeah, not enough follow-up there, even though the charm landed. And at this point, Powder tanky enough to take a bunch of that damage from Marian, of course. Marian didn't opt to take the Ignite into the mid lane. He opted for more map pressure and team play with his teleport. And with Levi or Felix not being there wasn't any follow-up CC, but straight into bot lane.
Ooh, Kiddo, a lot of damage there. Now on a rampage, still Marian trying to deal with 3 members as FU slowly trying to back away while kiting as much damage as they can. Levi in the front line though. Wix may be the casualty here in this case. 2 members of FU go down in the hands of Levi. Looks like Levi continuing the chase though. Still, that's a pretty good victory. 1 for 2 in favor of PUP.
Yeah, even though there was a Stand United available to save Kiddo for the start of that fight, there were enough members and damage coming from the members of PUP to turn the fight on its head, and it looks like they will take down this top tier 2 tower.
Ooh, that's a heavy wave pushing in. Looks like Bry gonna try to take down Felix here. Is quite low on mana. Look at the damage coming in from Bry though. Felix has to be very, gets that slow through the righteous glory.
Will he be able to chase though?
Indeed, stun does connect though. Still, man, it's like watching a bird chase down his prey here. Vicious bird. In fact, looks like Felix will have to force a stun, the flash out rather, and all's well.
Yeah, at this point, Bry doesn't have enough damage yet. He only has the Rod of Ages completed, and he doesn't have enough Magic Pen to burn through the tanky stats of Ornn. And Felix, burning his flash, able to escape. That does relieve a lot of pressure from the Ornn split push because Rory opted to go down bot lane. So, proactive plays coming from both teams so far, trying to break this game open. Of course, this game is still very even as we head towards the mid game. And no team's prioritizing Dragon, any of the teams who opt into fighting for that Drake because it's not very useful for their teams. I mean, it will give you the bonus move speed for extra rotations, but it doesn't really give you that much damage to other champions or objectives, such as a Mountain Drake or Infernal Drake, which are arguably more valuable. But Call of the Forge God
coming in, knock up. That's going to be the full lockdown onto Wiggs. Didn't even stand a chance. Gets taken down. Andrew gets the kill, and that will be the call for next dragon of the game. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be the first dragon of the game.
Yeah, it is the first dragon of a very late dragon at that, at 20 minutes, and Baron spawning up, and I wouldn't be surprised to see both teams play towards that objective, but seeing the Call of the Forge God come out, that's a lot of range on the engage of PUP, and they're able to pick up Wix. Wix, perma CC, not able to use his flash or the wild growth through the entirety of that pick, and the pick leads to the Cloud Drake. Good job by PUP.
Interesting though, I love the proactivity coming in from Wix, knowing full on that any of the members of FEU could get locked down on, so he did opt for that early Mikhail's Crucible. But then again, the tricky part is when Wix himself is the one that gets caught in, Mikhail's doesn't really do the work there if you can't even use it yourself.
Yeah, it's more of a team-oriented item. You want to use it on your carries, onto Kiddo, and Wix buying Mikhail's this early means Kiddo can buy more aggressively and not opt in that third item QSS. I do believe Kiddo is going towards a wit's end here, trying to mitigate some magic damage from the members of PUP. Of course, 4 champions of them deal magic damage. It's just Enju who deals AD. So good buy here from Kiddo.
6 and 6 equals. Still, take note though, 2 turrets up for the taking from PUP. FEU still hasn't secured a single turret just yet. from the side of PUP. But still, as we did mention, going into the late game, it's definitely an advantage that FEU could take full advantage of. And technically looking at things, with the scoreboard equal, I'd still say that a good job for FEU because it could have gone way worse considering how much they want to try to scale. But Wix, again, getting caught out here by Felix. Looks like we'll be going for the ultimate. Levi, Glacial Prison, doesn't get the full lockdown though, but looks like that Ram gonna try to knock up. Gets a knock up onto Powder though.
But see how long that Ornn ult goes. A lot of range on the call of the Forge God, but it's a very tricky ability to use. Me, myself, I've missed that ultimate a lot because the knocking it back in a different direction, it's kind of tricky. It's a fairly new mechanic in the game, but as for Felix, he has been landing majority of them, and for Wix, burning his flash, he needs to play more safely when he's going for these ward plays. He needs to coordinate with Powder in order to reclaim vision control in their jungle, because right now, PUP being the aggressors is securing more vision.
There you have it. I mean, it's interesting, still very much equal. Would you say that for all PUP has done thus far, I would have liked to have seen a lot more proactivity, I'd say. A lot more... Like you mentioned, they should be pulling the trigger a lot, but, you know, not sure if it's because he's a bit more better, where they have allowed Omni safer because the Shen, and I think there's a different from Ray. So I think kind of here. FEU definitely a lot more protection through the Shen. Anivia herself with semi-immortal.
I think with this deficit being this small at this stage in the game, FEU is very happy with this because they will out PUP, and for PUP they need to up their tempo. They need to push even faster now because there's time bomb, there's a storm from FEU, and once they do get outscaled, there is nothing PUP can do in these fights once Kiddo is able to get enough safety.
Ooh, he's probably going to try something. Good attempt, but still. One thing that I did notice, if you're going to look at the map for FEU, one of the reasons why they were able to keep this quite even with PUP is because of how on top they were in terms of their vision game. If you see a lot of defensive warding going on for FEU with a good balance of offensive warding at the same time from PUP. But then again, if you're going to look at it, sure, there is offensive warding from PUP, but can't really become targets due to defensive warding coming from FEU. That defense doesn't really do as much because whenever they try to get the initiate, FEU fully aware of where PUP is at whenever they go for these invades into the territory of FEU.
Yeah, and I do believe that's from the passive early game coming from Levi, not really around the mid lane. PUP is able to take the mid turret of FEU. They're really not going to be able to open up the map and go for these more aggressive invades. And Bri is just going to be so hard to push against because Anivia provides so much wave clear for your team. He can catch people guard with his wall, and you can just change your path in a split second, and you're just stunned and you're dead.
And it's interesting. I don't think I've seen... It's been a while since I've casted a game in the LCL where things are this safe and sound and equal when we're in 25 minutes into the game. Usually a lot of these LCL games, even though technically the composition shouldn't be doing it, have been quite explosive. I think Game 1 was a perfect example, especially for FEU. But then again, looks like maybe seeing that explosive fight I've been looking for members of FEU are there. Make that 5 actually. Marian is quite far. Does have teleport up though. If everything do get sick for PUP.
Yeah, Mark Marin, he does have Stand United and teleport up to respond, but so far PUP playing the 1-3-1 game here, running PUP across the map, and the only real wave here is there's a fight in the mid lane though.
Here we go, knock up though onto very powerful. It is both Enju forced to flash away. FEU does find safety of their turret. Kiddo dealing what he can.
Kiddo.
Still, this is for Marian and Roy haven't made the move to go in just yet. Looks like trying to see an opportunity right here. Lead by team by the Beast louder. Still coming in. Looks like Rory goes with the flash in. Felix still knocks target there though. Beast does get idolated. Kiddo getting the kill onto Felix regardless. Not enough damage from that ultimate from that Caitlyn. That is a 1-for-0 thus far. Marian coming in from the back line. FEU forced to kind of take it easy there. And for the meantime, will be a small victory with Felix down.
Yeah, hesitation from PUP costing them the team fight. Kiddo untouched through the entirety of the fight, able to DPS down these targets. Of course, Ginsu's Rage Blade already completed, and there was no threat onto Kiddo through the entirety of that fight. And Bri, good placement of the Glacial Storm and Wall, able to zone out Enju from the rest of the fight, so there was no DPS coming back. And even though they only get 1-for-0, it does net FE tower, and the way the game is going at this point, with all the passive early game, it really favors FEU and their scaling, and I think they've reset, and they're really playing to their comp strengths compared to the first game.
So, FEU, this is what we've been talking about right here. PUP really needs to watch their back because we're already near the 30-minute mark, and FEU, with the composition they have, they're going to thrive a lot. 3 members of PUP scout out the members of FEU. They'll have to take it easy, though. They don't have any intel on where the rest of FEU is right at this very moment. Looks like Kido did show himself there towards mid, but still, regardless.
Yeah, and it's gonna be hard for PUP to push forward here because for the early bot lane laning phase, a Caitlyn Karma lane should technically win, or I mean theoretically win because they who have the bully potential. But with Kido winning the laning phase versus Caitlyn, Andrew is put off in this low spot where he isn't as powerful as the Rage Blade Kog'Maw, and that just hinders a lot from PUP, not enabling them to push forward versus the members of FEU.
Man, oh man, we'll just have to see though. With FEU, I gotta say, in terms of the advantage innately of their composition, it's definitely leaning towards them as their game goes along. But then again, is there any potential way wherein, because like I mentioned during game 1, they had a great start, but then again, they didn't play to their composition. Like, even though they transitioned into the late game, is there any way that this could go wrong for FEU if they don't play a certain strat right with the composition that they have?
Yeah, since there's a lot of engage on from PUP, if they are able to catch out Bri or Kido from FEU, there is no damage left. And to get these key picks onto key targets, then she transition that into objectives and push FEU back. But right now, with all these tools available for safety from FEU, it'll be really hard for the members of PUP to actually look for these engages because FEU is just going to kite back and use a Stand United and possibly the taunt to re-engage onto PUP. And if the engage from PUP is botched, FEU is just gonna win all of these team fights.
Oh man, I'm kind of worried right here. I mean, even with the advantage that FEU still have that worry for them, wherein we have seen those moments of opportunity when Bri would just get picked off in those very awkward positions. And like you mentioned, even with the advantage that FEU had their composition late game, if Bri, Kido don't play their cards right in terms of positioning, then that's where things could get tricky for them. But I gotta say, through what we've seen in the team fights thus far, I definitely have faith in them because how they've played to their role with Anivia in terms of zoning, with Kido just staying safe within the backlines to get those free hits onto PUP. I'd say they're on the right track so far.
Yeah, let us note though that 30 minutes into the game, PUP does have vision control over Baron. If FEU face checks, PUP can potentially flip them into a bad fight.
To allow Powder to front line for them, try to get those peaks, because we did see earlier when Wix or Bri would try to get a peek in and they just get instantly obliterated. So that's something they have to take into account whenever they do try to establish vision across this map. Otherwise, it's going to be game over for them. Like you mentioned, with Felix on this Ornn, Libra and the Sejuani, there's a lot of lockdown, there's a lot of CC. And we did see that with Wix earlier when he just got locked down, he couldn't even escape. He didn't even get the flash out or the ultimate to prolong his life a bit more for FEU to respond.
I really like the side lane pressure coming from PUP though, because Marin and Felix have been in these side lanes pushing the minions over and over, and that forces the members of FEU to go to the side lane and respond. And with McRory being held under his tower, if he does go for a Stand United, PUP will just back off, and then Felix will just take a free tower because McRory isn't there. As for Bri, if Bri overextends in the side lane trying to shove the minion wave, there's a lot of catch potential and chase down. Of course, Beast Boy on this Karma can speed up his entire team. So many ways to engage on the mobile Anivia, and FEU has to stop the siege.
Indeed. And it's interesting. I love that we're finally seeing some level of control coming for PvP, a lot more resolve. They're not as hesitant as they were earlier, but still, McRory.
Burning his flash, and that's a huge summoner spell from McRory because McRory's flash taunts have been on so far this game, and with that being done for the next 5 minutes or so, it really hinders re-engage a lot, and they've already lost the top power to the one split push of PUP.
Man, PUP really giving problems here for FEU, and can't really deal with, then that's what I kind of worry for FEU. Even though technically in terms of the numbers with time, late game, it's all on them, but if they can't deal with all this pressure across the board coming in from PUP because of how much control they have across the lanes and across this map, I'm not sure how FEU can deal with this.
FEU stop those. They do feel comfortable enough because at this point in the game, I do believe Brian Kiddo have enough items to stand up to the members of PUP, and they're going for the engage now.
Indeed, Powder trying to frontline, seeking that opportunity. Glacial Prison does connect to Kido that will go back away. And now that I realize, looking at FEU's composition, that's the tricky part right here. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on Powder to try to catch out a member of PUP.
Definitely, because Powder is the only real engage. Unless Brian can cut someone off with a wall or PUP just runs at FEU, there is no real engage for FEU. And with them not being able to deal with the side lane pressure, it's really hindering their game here. And FEU, they need to stop the wing. They need to go for a pick or two. They need to force a fight because right now I think they do have an advantage in a full-on 5v5, but it's finding that full-on 5v5. They need to bring the storm to PUP because right now PUP just knowing the weather, not being prepared for that storm.
Yeah, not at all. And overall, PUP just braving the elements here, not giving a care in the world, even though as far as advantages with composition, late game in terms of what FEU could dish out, you know, they just don't really give a damn. They're just putting things into their own terms by bringing the pressure to FEU, and FEU ultimately forced to take a responsive stance.
PUP playing the macro game very well here. It's really good to see an LCL team play the macro this well, considering that they don't get as much time to practice as
Indeed.
5. Most of them have school, and it's really, really fun to watch a game where they aren't just diving in over and over, and they're really playing smart. But Baron is up, and if PUP do secure this Baron, it will further propel them into a possible win here and just give them more control over the game. If you're trying to go for this, though, I think they're trying to force a fight.
Ooh, very gutsy move there. Have to be a bit more careful though. They don't want to try to push the envelope a bit too much. But overall, I gotta give my commendations to PUP because throughout the entire group stage of the Metro West 2017 summer term, I've been questioning
You're trying to pull
PUP
the
as
break so that can use the range.
Ooh. Looks like they may be able to get it, though no member of FEU gonna try to contest it, and down it goes. All 3 Dragons actually going into PUP, so they've been on top of objectives all around.
Yeah, and that stems from their superior vision control so far in this game. And I think it's just Beast Boy and Levi outclassing Powder and Wix in terms of the synergy when it comes to vision control throughout the map. Because Beast Boy is well known as engaging the mid.
Indeed, they're catching out Levi though. Taking out Levi is tanky, forced to flash out though. Looks like Levi gonna try to look for a
He
re-engage.
has to be careful.
Indeed, Powder getting in there, but looks like no further pursuit from PUP. Still quite calm, waiting for that storm to happen though, and this might be the moment as Wix forced to flash away. Glacial Prison will get slow on. Looks like FEU seeking to re-engage with ultimates being exhausted. PUP side knock up onto Powder right there. FEU still trying to slowly back away. Teleport coming in from McCrory. Still Marion getting the kill onto Wix. And Ju getting the kill onto Powder. 2 members of FEU are down. FEU trying to salvage what they can. Kiddo getting the kill. Double kill. Make that the triple. Oh my, what is happening here? McCrory trying to chase down Marion just when you think things will go south for FEU. Wow, Kiddo. This is what we've been talking about here. Late game.
This is a superior scaling coming from the Anivia Kog'Maw, able to bring the storm to PUP, and it will net them the tower and potentially a Baron. They are possibly going to go for that, but I think they're just going to back off.
Holy cow, I was expecting it to be game over for FEU, but then again, underestimating the power that FEU has in that comp. That was the moment that they were looking for, I gotta say. That moment wherein they just let the late game advantages work in their favor, and that was beautiful, man.
Yeah, FEU, perfect way to kite back during that fight, and PUP overstepping, trying to overreach for the engage because they did win the first part of the fight. But let's go over the replay here, and FEU's kiting here is really well played. They're not able to burst Wix down because he has so much safety, and Stand United coming out, even with Marian cancelling the first part of Stand United, Rory not able to go there. PUP overcommits here, and they aren't focused on Kiddo and Bri. And Roy's TP comes out, Felix gets cut off by the wall, and even if Wix goes down in the backline, PUP here overcommits, seeing that they do have a numbers advantage, and all the focus is on McCrory. They aren't looking at Kiddo. Look at Kiddo's damage here, and he flashes forward aggressively to finish off Enju, and that is the power of Rage late game Kog'Maw. And the focus from PUP not onto the same targets. FEU able to win the fight with their superior late game scaling, and that's just a well played team fight, positioning wise from both Bri and Kiddo.
Oh man, and with that fight, I feel like this will force PUP to think on their feet right now as to realizing, they can't really go full on in these fights here, especially if they couldn't eliminate the threat that is Kido right now, along with Bryce. So I'm estimating that PUP, if they're going to try to play it back into where they're pushing across lanes, maybe, that might be something that they want to consider, because going into full 5v5s, I don't think they could deal with that anymore.
Yeah, at this point, with Kido already having QSS, Rage Blade, Runon's Hurricane, and Wits, and he is full-on late-game Kog'Maw. It is incredibly hard to deal with Kog'Maw, especially if there's enough peel onto him. What PUP has to do here is secure the Baron to mitigate some of the wave clear, because of course, with Baron-empowered minions, Anivia with the magic damage won't be able to clear them as quickly, and PUP will potentially be able to siege with the Caitlyn faster with that. But so far, they've went back to what has been helping them dictate the mid to late game here, and which is shoving side lanes, not forcing fights. Because if PUP overcommits and they botch the engage, and FEU is able to kite back, there's no fight PUP can win at this point with Kido being this ahead on Kog'Maw.
9-11 right now on the score, but I don't think this matters. So it all comes down to whether or not PUP could get those key targets towards the start of those fights, or will FEU just kind of mill through? As Chisto has mentioned, the storm is here. Winter is coming, and it is coming with a name, and that is FEU. Whew.
Yes, and now Baron is up. I wouldn't be surprised to see teams set up for that, but right now, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, having more lanes pushing in their favor, it enables them to ward up the jungle of FEU, and it enables them to have more control over this Baron area. And I think this is smart from them. They're not really forcing too many fights. They're going to begin to respect the late game damage from Kido and Bri. And for Kido and Bri, it'll be a key factor for them not to miss position in these fights, because if one of them gets caught, or if both of them get caught, it's just over. There's no more DPS coming from that FEU comp. And PUP has to find a way to break through that front line of Gragas and Shen and reach the back line and really destroy the squishy targets of FEU.
And earlier, Felix, if we recall earlier when the previous 15 minutes, wherein we'd see these one-on-ones between Felix and McCrory. McCrory would just feel the pain against Felix, but now, at the late of the game, he could easily deal with that now. Looking at his itemization, definitely geared towards to deal with all that harass, all that damage coming in from the UP. So, overall, FEU need to avoid those major blunders, and if they just let the strength of their composition do its work, I'm expecting a game 3.
Yeah, and with the way Felix opted to build, he built more team-oriented, and he isn't able to 1v1 Rory as well in the side lane. But now with Elder Dragon being last, and having Elder Dragon on their side, it'll help them win these potential 5v5 team fights. And that animation of Seraph's Embrace, I think it's just bugged on Bri.
Man, oh man. We'll just have to see though. Man, this feels so intense, because even with FEU having that advantage in this late game, still go back to what happened in game 1, where they didn't comp to the team, allowing key targets to get picked off early on, led PUP to victory. So that's still what I'm worried about here. And from what we've seen, PUP very efficient at getting key targets whenever, and just punishing whenever they're caught out of place here. So FEU has to be careful. They have to be careful.
Yeah,
and
we're passing through the eye of the storm here.
Indeed.
We're down the middle. There isn't just strong winds at the moment, and once the storm does come back to PUP, it's going to be extra hard for them to win these 5-on-5s. But a lot of hesitation from PUP. They're not opting to go for these neutral objectives, even though they do have lane pressure. I do believe they're just waiting for Felix to shove out the bot lane, and once Rory responds to that, they can force the objective and force Rory to respond. And if they're able to kite back a fight, Felix can potentially take a tower.
So FEU gonna try to bring the storm once in PUP, but still Marian gonna get the split push on towards the top side, as well as Felix towards the bot side. This is the tricky part right here, and you see that hesitation coming in from FEU. Are we gonna try to push this, or will we try to contend with what's pushing towards top? And see, this is what's happening right here. FEU, they couldn't deal with going full on because they always have to deal with Marian and Felix pushing towards opposite sides of the map.
Yeah, at this point, FEU has to go for a neutral objective to force a team fight, because they're just going to bleed out here if they continue to let Marian and Felix split push in the 1-3-1. What I want FEU to do is they need to aggressively get shoved in and go for a hit around Baron or Elder Drake, because at this point, 5 fights will go in their favor with or near items already onto Kido and Bri.
Man, I just feel my heart pounding right now for both teams here.
Yeah, the next fight will definitely be explosive.
And I feel like whoever wins that fight ultimately dictate who can win this game here. Because there's so much on the line. And take note, with 42 minutes into the game right now, once somebody goes down, those are so heavy. And I feel like that will result the turrets pulled down once that does happen. FEU, though, is to converge here, trying to establish control over this Baron. Powder might cut out here.
Missed.
Caught in the middle, actually, able to get Andrew.
Oh, they're cut off.
It's got off, though. Powder going to try to back away, but here comes Stan United coming in from McRory. Are they going to pursue, though? Looks like that is not the case. Keto, though, actually gets blasted back in. Marian getting the kill onto Powder, but here comes the teleport as well from Felix. This might be tricky for FEU. They're quite separated. Bri might be going down very, very low on health along with Keto. Still a lot of very healthy members coming in from PUP.
This
All
is a
the
messy
Forge are
fight.
going to come in. Knockup, though, doesn't connect onto Keto, but does connect onto Bri, though.
Keto
Keto
took out
getting the
Andrew.
kill onto Andrew. Looks like they'll be pursuing. Two members of PUP are down. FEU, what are they going to do next? 2 for 1. Take note, very, very low health bars across the board. FEU, they have to be careful here. Ultimate is down for Felix, though, with Levi McRory trying to get the connect. Actually, Ice, the rest of it looks like they'll be going on to Felix instead. They are chasing down a very tanky Orin, and he manages to dash away these fights.
Yeah, I should have gone for Baron. I wonder why they were afraid. These from PUP Stomp is down. Marian and Enju are dead. The only source of the FEU going for the fight here.
Indeed, taunt there onto Levi, cancels out. Glacial Prison actually does connect onto Keto to prevent any of that damage. Call the Forge God. 2 members knocked up. Man, that cooldown is quite low. McRory frontlining for the rest of FEU. They have to back away, though. Bri very, very low. If they're going to try something, looks like they're going to call it quits for now and back. Whew.
That was a free Baron, but I do believe they hesitated because Powder was dead. But with the Nivea, you can zone out Levi from that. You can use your wall in Glacial Storm and peel back for the fight if he does come. But right now, with their members being low, they have to reset. PUP making an aggressive move towards the Baron.
Oh, man, the FEU has to be so careful at this.
This is going to go
point.
down so quickly if they do go for it.
Oh, man, I'm kind of worried for FEU right now. They
Death
have
Bush.
to make their way back in time. This is going to be the moment of truth. Is anybody from FEU going to get caught out here? 3 members. They do have vision on. Oh, it's actually Keto and Bri that they did catch out, though. Looks like no further pursuit of this Baron. Ooh, I was kind of expecting the climax right there. Anticlimactic that they didn't push, but still, man, I don't blame them. This is pretty intense.
Yeah, a lot of respect shown by FEU. Not going for the Baron because their jungler was down. They didn't want a possible smite steal to happen. And good job by PUP stalling the push and using their CC ability to sort of clear the waves and just force FEU back, because even though FEU won that fight, they weren't able to translate it into any major objectives. So right now the game still fairly in anyone's favor, because at this stage in the game it just comes down to who can team fight better, because everyone's get full items. The tanks are tanky, the carries deal so much dash, and it'll be interesting to see how each team decides to play the upcoming fights.
Whew. Man, I mean, even looking at the statistics, it really just doesn't matter. It all comes down to how these team fights play out. Passive down for Levi now. FEU, 5-man configuration, pushing towards this mid lane. They have to be a little PUP trying to poke it out.
Yeah,
while
FEU is hesitating so much here. They need to be going for the Baron once they push the wave in.
And see, though, turret is actually down towards the bot side. It's only an outer turret, though, but looks like FEU, as predicted by Chisto, going to make their way towards this Baron. It's going to be very risky, though.
This will be very fast, though, with the Anivia and the Rage Blade Kog'Maw. PUP has to react to this.
Oh, PUP, Levi just around the corner. Going to try to go for the steal. Does isolate the rest of PUP, though.
50-50.
This is going to be the Ram knocking up 3 members of FEU. This Baron now at 4,000 health. This is very, very tricky. Regenerating health. Looks like that Baron going to back to full. And FEU going to back away for the meantime. Still very healthy members from PUP. And take note, Wix is so low. This could be risky for FEU right now. Charm connecting onto Powder right now. This is going to be a full-blown fight here. And that's going to be PUP trying to balance out. A lot of damage, though, coming on to Enju. Rest of FEU trying to chase him out. Mario goes into the back line. Does manage to take down Powder, Enju. And looks like members of FEU. Keto confused as to who he's going to go for next. Will be going for Marian. Does get taken down. That Wix. Keto getting the kill onto Marian, but still very, very low. Shut down onto McRory. These are 4 members of FEU that are going to be going down right now with 3 members of FEU up. And somebody, the Baron, for probably taking University of the Philippines, but no, they might actually opt for the push instead.
I think they're going to go for the Elder Drake instead of the Baron here. Or are they going to try to end the game? And such an extended team fight. Felix actually used Call of the Forge God twice. wants to begin the engage, and it looks like this is going to be a 2-0 win for PUP. I wonder how much they can take from FE. The death timer is so long. Powder and Wix are up in 15 seconds though.
Man, Inhibitor gonna get pushed, and I am the chills coming in right now.
This is the upset.
Oh my goodness, is this gonna be the upset indeed? PUP gonna go straight for this Nexus turret. Powder gonna be up in 3, 2, 1. Wix as well, 3, 2, 1. But still, that is gonna be Glacial Prison. This might potentially be the game. And knock up onto Powder. PUP exerting all their effort onto this Nexus. Ladies and gentlemen, first seed goes down to the 4th seed of the Metro West Conference. Polytechnic University of the Philippines, you are going to the finals.
Yeah, PUP setting up setting up a clash in the final versus DLSU, and during their last meeting, PUP did take down DLSU, but kudos to them, 2-0 win versus the top 1 seed. Really well played game from them macro-wise.
Oh my goodness, just when it really counts, I gotta hand it to PUP. And the person I really gotta commend in this game, Marian Cutie, a lot of patience, I'd say, really waiting for that opportunity to go for that backline. If we saw in continuous team fights, Wix was one of the usual targets that goes down first, and man, that was crazy. I mean, what do you think about that?
PUP was able to weather the storm. That was FEU's late game, even with a superior scaling, even with a superior late game 5v5. PUP playing the side lanes perfectly, able to exert enough pressure onto the members of FEU, and McCrory not going to be able to get this LCL title this year.
I gotta be honest, I was really expecting FEU to proceed to the finals, but then again, PUP, naalala ko, sinabi ko nung simula nung split, nung itong term na to, like PUP, I was wondering, are they going to get their bearings together? Because they've always had a shaky LCL across terms, but finally, we're seeing a solid PUP, actually quite different from what we saw in the group stage. You know, a lot more decisiveness, a lot more. There's always been that question of synergy for PUP, pero man, for some reason they reeled together and took down the 1st seed, who was actually the favorite to win this term.
Yeah, PUP just out-rotated FEU, more proactive team across both those games, and I wonder if this moment will propel them to be championship score. Gonna face DLSU in the final, another tough opponent. So credits to PUP and good job from them.
But of course, before we sign up, of course, I'm going to give my commendations to FEU as well. A great term. Like I've mentioned in the past, LCL hasn't had to scout out potential players that could go for Piltover's finals. I mean, McCrory, Powder, Bry, Kido, and Wix. Commendations to you guys. You played really well.
All great players.
But PUP, so proud at the same time because they really... but once again, ladies and gents, that has been quite the intense semifinals. When we come back next day, we're finally determined who will become the champion Metro West Conference. Is it going to be Polytechnic University of the Philippines or LCL University? Once again, we have been your casters. Arctic Service Family has been Chiso. This has been the League 2017 Summer Turn powered by Lenovo. Challenge What You Know was again sued for very exclusive finals for Metro West Conference.
Known as sport, does engage in the mid lane.
They're catching up Levi though. Taking up Levi is quite tanky. Forced to flash out though. Looks like you gotta look for a range. Deep Powder in there, but I'm waiting for that storm to happen though, and this might be the moment when it does. Wix forced to flash away. Glacial Prison will get faked with all the ultimates being exhausted from PUP side. Knock up onto Powder right there. FEU still trying to slowly back away. Teleport coming in from McCrory. Still Marian getting the kill onto Wix. Andrew getting the kill onto Powder. 2 members of FEU are down. FEU trying to see what they can. Kido getting the double kill. Man, at the triple side. Powder might get cut off. He was caught in the mid, actually. Not able to get Andrew.
Oh, they're cut off.
Got off though. Powder gonna try to back away, but here comes Stan United coming in from McCrory. Are they gonna pursue though? Looks like that is not the case. Kido though actually gets blasted back in. Marian getting the kill onto Powder, but here comes the teleport as well from Felix. This might be tricky for FEU. They're quite separated. Bry might be going down very, very low on health with Kido. Still not very health members coming in from PUP. Orange might come in. Knocked up though. Doesn't connect onto Kido. Does connect onto Kido. Getting the kill onto Andrew. Looks like they'll be pursuing 2 members of PUP are down. FEU, what are they gonna do next? Connecting onto Powder right now. This is gonna be a full-blown fight here. And that's gonna be PUP trying to bounce out a lot of damage though. Coming on to Andrew. Rest of FEU trying to chase him out. Goes into the back lane. Does manage to take down Powder. Andrew. And looks like members of FEU. Kiddo confused. That's who he's going to go for next. Will going and does get taken down. That's it. Kiddo
Oh.
getting kill onto him, but still very, very low. Shut down onto McRory. These are 4 members of FEU that are going to be going down right now with 3 members of Nexus.
I think this is the game.
So Prison is nice potential of the game. And knock up onto Powder. PUP exerting all their effort to this Nexus. Ladies and gentlemen, first seed goes down to the 4th seed of the Metro West Conference. Polytechnic University of the Philippines, you are going to the finals.
Yeah,
Not enough Garena shells to buy the latest League of Legends skin? On sale now? Get shells anytime, anywhere with your Globe or Touch mobile number. Go to gamer.com.ph and sign up with your mobile number and enter the verification code you will receive via SMS. Log in and choose the game and pin you want. Check out to purchase the pin with your load or through your postpaid account and receive the pin on your phone instantly. Never miss a sale on your favorite League of Legends skins and champions with Gamer.